Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Gridiron Recap. I'm your host with the most, Jersey Joe Archino, here with our ESPN Radio Albany team member, Ian Sachs, who covers the New York Jets. He's there for every single game. Ian, right now, you've got to be in a good position. The Jets 2-0, beating the Colts 17-7 on Monday Night Football last night. Tell me, if you need one big takeaway from last night's game, what are you thinking?
I think you got to go two takeaways. I think first you have to look at the defense. Defense. We said at the beginning of the year that would be the key for this team, and it's proving so far in this season. 10 takeaways in 2 games. 10 takeaways in 2 games. This is for a team that had 28 takeaways in the last 2 seasons. 2 seasons, 28 takeaways. 2 games, 10 takeaways. The defense.
Well, we talk so much about that defense. Clearly, that one of the standouts for them being Darrelle Revis. Now, I don't think that there's any hiding it. Andrew Luck's a pretty darn good quarterback, but if you had watched him last night and you'd never known about this guy before, you would think he's pretty lousy or the Jets are just this good. What did they do last night to give Andrew Luck so many problems?
Well, they rushed Andrew Luck. I mean, the Jets everywhere on this defense is so radically improved from the last few years. And, you look at Darrelle Revis. Now, Andrew Luck did throw to Revis several times last night, which is something that you might question a little bit, especially with Luck being billed as such a high IQ quarterback, and he is that much of a high IQ quarterback, but to go after the best cornerback in the league, now I'm not saying to completely avoid him like the way I think it was Aaron Rodgers did with Richard Sherman. I'm not saying to completely avoid him, but to go after him that much, I don't know if it was the game plan or Luck just thought that, maybe he could get away with it last night, but still, 7 points for Andrew Luck and the Colts, and that was in the fourth quarter when the game was really pretty much decided. Even though it was only 10-0, it just felt so much more out of reach because of the way that the Colts could not get anything at any time going on offense.
Well, and look, we could sit here and probably talk about the Jets' defensive performance all night because it really was, in all terms, masterful. But when we look at the Jets' offense, there are so many good things to look about, especially this is an offense that just people had such little faith in last season, even the season before that. But now when we look at it, it just looks like there's a continuity there. There's a distribution of the ball. How do you look at this offense right now? How does it stack up in the NFL?
It seems like they're clicking, even though they only scored 17 points, and they probably could have if they were fully functioning and really had everyone going. They probably could have put up, 25, 30 points on the Indianapolis Colts last night. But when you look at the way that Ryan Fitzpatrick is connecting with Eric Decker, the way he's connecting with Brandon Marshall, he's showing that he has the weapons around him and he's making those connections. Decker, the number 2 receiver, he was the number 1 on this team last year, but he thrives in the number 2 spot. And we saw that yesterday coming up with the touchdown, the first touchdown of the game, and then, of course, Fitzpatrick going over to the good old reliable Brandon Marshall for the second score of the game. He's got the weapons and he's making the connection. Fitzpatrick is doing a great job, and the announcers last night, Mike Tirico and John Gruden, were saying that Todd Bowles before the season said that when Geno Smith is available to come back, they're going to evaluate the situation. If the Jets are 1-3, then they'll probably make the switch. But if they're 3-1, then they'll probably stay with Fitzpatrick. And you know what? It looks like they're going to be 3-1 or having a good record, and then they'll keep Fitzpatrick. And I think that is absolutely the right move for this team.
Well, you kind of looked ahead a little bit, so let's go to their next game against the Philadelphia Eagles, which, of course, you will be there for live. When we look at the Eagles right now, I think it's an understatement to say it's been quite a disaster. When we look at their running game, especially, you bring in Ryan Matthews, you bring in DeMarco Murray. DeMarco Murray especially, look, Eli Manning has more rushing yards than DeMarco Murray, and that is a problem in many more ways than one. You look how good this Jets defense is, and you look at what the Eagles have done. It looks like a pretty easy matchup right now for the Jets if you look at everything we've seen so far.
Well, one thing that I'm nervous about for the Jets is they have a short week and they are riding high, 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 high. Think about it. When they blew out the Browns in week 1, we said, okay, yes, there were some very blatant positives that you could take from the game. The defense looked great, 5 takeaways. But then you had to put a little asterisk next to it and say, but they were playing the Browns, which, over the last 10 years have done absolutely nothing. Now you look at the Indianapolis Colts, the team that went to the AFC Championship game last year, and a team that was mad after week 1 losing to Buffalo the way that they did, and the Jets come in with that performance. You think that Gang Green is now all of a sudden one of the top 3-4 teams in the AFC based on the way that they're playing. So I think that for the Jets, you have to be a little cautious, because the Eagles, they have to realize that even at 0-2, they're in a very winnable division and in a very good position in one of the weakest divisions in the NFL. So their prime, they want to get a win. They don't want to go to 0-3. That is the last thing that any team in the NFL at any point wants to do. They do not want to start the season 0-3. For the Jets, they're thinking, hey, we're 2-0. We've got our backup quarterback in. We're winning games. We're doing well. Our defense is killing. And the Eagles haven't been able to do anything so far. So this could very, very easily be a trap game. And remember, the Eagles play at MetLife every single year because they play the Giants. They're familiar with the territory. They're familiar with the field, and it's not that far away from Philly. There might be a lot of Eagles fans there. There probably will be. The Jets have to be very cautious in this game.
As they do, and as you said before, teams that start the season 0-2 have a 12% chance of making the playoffs. Teams that start the season 0-3, an even less chance of making the playoffs. So with that said, with the Eagles' backs against the wall, what is your final pick for this game?
Joe, you're asking me.
Look, you're the beat reporter of the Jets
question.
For the 104.5, the team. You got to give us an answer.
Wow. I think I'm going to make a lot of Jets fans very unhappy here, but I think that you have to look at the way the teams are trending right now. The Eagles need to turn it around. The Jets are riding, I think, a little too high. And I think that after last night's performance, the Jets in a short week are going to say, you know what? We're going to get 5 takeaways a game. Our defense is that good. The Eagles, they have to get DeMarco Murray going. They have to show some kind of flow on offense. And I think that, unfortunately for Gang Green and the New York, everyone in New York, it looks like I think the Eagles are primed to finally turn around. I think that the Eagles are set up to have a very good year. I thought that at the beginning of the year. I thought the Jets would be mediocre at around 9-7. I figured both teams would be around 9-7. Well, in order for that prediction to maybe come to fruition, it looks like the Eagles are going to have to turn their luck around, and unfortunately, the Jets are going to have to get off of cloud 9 for just a little bit.
Well, you heard it from the reporter himself. He will be on the ground for Sunday's game. Follow him at Ian R. Sachs. He will give you all the information, only the inside stuff that you could get with a reporter. And we'll be back next time.